So in 2019, we got this office, we completely renovated it. You know, we spent like a couple $100,000 renovating this office and making it, and it was supposed to be like a community place where all investors could come hang out, use the internet, use the printer. You know, we work on deals together, all types of stuff. And then so we got our lease in December-ish, right? And moved in January, February. And then we did a We Live event in Atlanta. And then we came back from Atlanta and COVID was a new thing. And so it was kind of like we had to kind of stop inviting a bunch of people to the office. And COVID's still here, obviously everybody's wearing masks, but we're still doing deals. And so I don't really just stand up here and kind of give a speech of just kind of what's going on. For you that don't know my backstory, I've been in this business since 16 now? 16? And you know, I went from doing this in my mom's house to the point now where we have, this is our second or third office downtown. This is our largest office. And we just keep growing and growing and growing. And it all started just from me being broke in my mom's house and wanting to figure out to do something else at the age of 30, almost 31. And to the point now where, you know, we kind of do a lot of real estate deals, residential, commercial, and we have a good team, we have a good synergy, and we're growing every day. So as things get back kind of into a normal place, this can be a place for you guys to call your office, right? Places where you guys can use our infrastructure, right? Because we have our own attorney in-house that closes all our deals. That's what Tammy's in charge of. She works with Derek, who's our in-house attorney. We obviously have marketing, which comes from me and my brother, and then Everett runs the sales team. And so we're always here to help, you know, help you guys learn. And so we're going to start doing more trainings. And the cost of this is free. There's no cost to this. It's just something that I think is important to keep the synergy of what's going on. And one, to make sure that everybody's ethically practicing investing in real estate the way that it is so we can keep doing this and making money. And so, yeah, this is like your safe place. And so the cool thing about it is, you know, we have everything from contracts to, you know, everything you basically need to run your business. We're like that second half, right? The front half, you go out, you get the deals. The back half, we help you close them, we help you do that. And then we'll do like weekly trainings, right? So I'll do a weekly training. Francis will do a weekly training. We'll Zoom in. So one of my friends from across the country will do a weekly training. They'll be flying, we'll do weekly trainings. And it's all for free just to help better the community. The good thing about it is, you know, we buy deals ourselves. So it's good to have that energy in the room. We wholesale some deals, but we buy a lot of real estate now these days. And so it's like a cool energy. But most of the time what I like to do is, I know a lot of people have questions, right? Because when I first started in 2016, there was absolutely nobody really on YouTube or podcasts showing this information. And so when I started documenting my journey and being a wholesaler, I was kind of like the first person to do it. I wasn't the first person to do it, but I was like the first person to do it and wasn't charging people for the information. It was just like, I was so excited that I wasn't broke anymore that I was like, I got to share this with the world. I don't know if you guys ever went from like broke to having a little bit of money. You know that feeling. And I wanted to just share everything that I had with everybody else. And so most of the time when I do meetups, I do them locally in the city, like I said, every single month. We just have Q&A. You guys ask questions. I kind of answer some of the things that you don't get covered on YouTube, some of the things that you don't get to see on Instagram. And we just answer questions and we have dialogue and we talk about some things. It could be a range from anything. I'm kind of like an open book. And then my staff is also here to help us, you know, kind of answer some questions that maybe I don't know or they're better suited to answer. So for people who are just starting out, I'm pretty sure you got a lot of questions, right? No? It's weird because I can't see anybody's facial expressions. So I'm like guessing what you guys, are you smiling? Are you mean mugging me? I can't figure it out yet. But I'm gonna say everybody's smiling, right? Because this is kind of new. So for the people who are kind of brand new, or anybody, really any questions, what are some questions that you have? And don't be shy to ask the question. You ask the question, I repeat it, there's no dumb question here. I learn something every day in this business. So does my team. We learn something every day. I feel like every single deal we do, we learn something new.
So what questions do you guys have for me? what's the best way to get your cash buyers list?
So there's several ways. The number one best way is just to meet people. When I first started out in this business, I used to drive around a lot. And just to drive around, one, to see how new houses were being flipped, what areas were borderline and that started becoming cool to live at. And so when you see those trash cans, when you see those contractors, you jump out, you have a conversation. And it's just a simple, hey, how you doing, guys? I'm an investor. I see properties like all the time. Who's flipping this house? Who's the one flipping? And sometimes the guys on the site, sometimes the contractors will give you that information, but it really just boils down to networking and a lot of this. Over the years, we've built hundreds of buyers on our list, but mainly we sell a lot of our properties to our casual investors. If that makes sense. So in the beginning, we used to sell a lot to repeat investors. They wanted this, they had to fit in what they call their buy box. It had to be this, and this. And so now these days, we sell a lot more properties to your casual investor, guy that's going to buy 1 or 2 properties a year. And right, the reason is he's got a different investment strategy. He's not that aggressive when it comes to what the numbers he or she wants. And that's who we mainly sell. But that's the number one way. Another way is we use PropStream. You guys, have you heard of PropStream? It's a product I've been using for years. I've been working with them from when it kind of first came out, and I've helped them develop some of the tools and tricks and tips that they have with the data they had available to make it kind of what it is today. So I'm a big proponent of PropStream for sure. And that's another way. You literally can see a house that was bought, 6 to 9 months ago, and that's now being listed online. All that information is kind of public data. But the second thing is, give us a call. I'll buy it. I'll find the buyer for you. I JV a bunch of deals with a lot of people. I think when you get started in this business, it's a good way to do. A lot of people want to do this business by themselves. A lot of people want to start a business by themselves. As I get older, I start to realize that starting a business by yourself is overrated, right? It's better to find business partners that are aligned with your goals morally and mentally, so that it's lonely. The entrepreneur journey is a very, very lonely journey. Sometimes you don't talk to somebody about what you're actually doing for a very, very long time, because most people can't relate. They're going to want to talk about sports, Carolina Panthers. They're going to talk about everything else except for how to get out of whatever financial burden they're in, right? And so, and that's why we created this space. And so if you're having a hard time finding buyers, don't worry about that back end of it. Go out, worry about the front end of that business. Now, because one of my favorite things to say is that, a good deal never searches for money. Money always searches for a good deal. And simply what that means is you need to focus on the front end, right? You need to focus on, how do I identify and how do I acquire good deals? If you have good deals, the buyers are everywhere, right? It's like laying a honey bun on the street corner in the middle of the summer. Ants are going to come. And that's kind of what a good deal kind of does. And so I wouldn't say focus too much, or say, I got to go out and find my buyers before I go out and do this part, because if you do that, you'll never get started. And most buyers don't even want to talk to you until you actually have a deal. And right, so focus on learning how to identify and acquire good real estate deals. And once you do that, you'll never have to really worry about, I need to find a buyer. That's my long answer. Yes, ma'am.
When it comes to the acquisition side of it, in the conversation with the sellers, how are you working to get to their bottom line price to get that good deal?
It's really a skill. Mm-hmm. It takes time. And so there's not a simple answer I can give you to say, this is exactly what you have to do. It's more, I do a lot of reverse engineering when I'm on the phone with somebody. I like to have serious conversation and then rapport building conversation. I kind of teeter-totter between the two, and I mainly ask 2 types of questions. A question that benefits me and a question that keeps them in a reality check, right? Question for me and a question for them. And so usually the questions for them, I usually know the answer. The questions for me, I'm asking the simple things that you need to know. Bed, baths, how long have you lived in it? If you've not, it's a rental property, what kind of rental money are you getting? How long has it been vacant? When's the last time it's updated? And so a simple conversation would be, once I get the person on the phone, they're like, hey, look, You know, if you were me and you were going to buy this house that I'm talking to you about, what would you do to update the kitchen? Right? Like if you just wanted to get it to HGTV 2021 standards, what would you do in the kitchen? Oh, I would do this, this, and this, and that. Okay, what do you think that costs? 50 grand. All right, cool. Then I'll build a rapport. I'll start talking about something completely different, right? You know, the weather, the games, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then I get back, well, what about that bathroom? Like, do you think I have enough room to put a double vanity in that master bath? Or you think just a single one? Would you replace a tub, toilet, paint, tile? Okay, what do you think that costs? And where'd you say you were from again? Oh, you were from Hickory. Okay, cool. You know, I know somebody that went to school up there, blah, 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 blah. The roof, is the roof? And so now these are two types of questions. And so at the end of that, I start to build this rapport and this conversation with them to the point where I'm jotting down the numbers that they're telling me. And then I'm going to bring that number back up to them. So you think roughly it's probably going to be about 70 grand in rehab costs. Okay, cool. And what was the price you said you wanted again? He never told me the price, right? Remember, I asked a question to keep them in reality. I didn't make that 70 number up. I just was jotting down what they were talking about. And so that's kind of some of the things that I do. And I kind of make them think with a realistic mindset, as in they know I'm an investor. They know I have to make a profit. And I'll simply start breaking the numbers down. You say you want 150, the house is probably worth, 175. You say I got to do 50 grand in work, that's 125. So if I gave you 150, I'd lose 25,000. If I gave you 125, I'd still lose money because I got to account for all the closing costs, the attorney, the holding costs. That's gonna cost me around 9 to 10%. So what number do you have to walk away from this? Right? And I'm still not throwing out my number. I'm just throwing out what ifs. And so, but a lot of that just comes with practice, right? You got to get on the phone. But the first thing you got to nail is your introduction, right? You got to nail the introduction. So if you were to call me, like ring, 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 hello, what would you say?
Well, I just say, hey, it's Imani. Like, I'm looking to buy some property in the area.
Who?
Imani.
Oh, I'm busy right now. Can I call you back?
Sure, what's a good time for me to give you a call?
How about I give you a call when I get done with work?
Okay, around 5?
Sounds great.
All right, awesome.
I'm never gonna call you.
I know.
And so there's a difference in that introduction, right? And so say you're calling, okay, I'm calling for Max. Hello?
Oh, I'm calling for Max.
Yeah. Hello?
Hey, Max, it's Imani. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Who is this again?
It's Imani.
Oh, hey, Imani. Have we met before?
I don't think so. I was actually just in the area looking at some property.
Great introduction. That's a great way, because if you call and say, hey, is this Max? Guess what Max knows?
Yeah.
You don't know my voice. You're a telemarketer. I'm hanging up. I'm gonna be real short with you. And so if you nail that introduction right, and you gotta be enthusiastic when you answer that phone, the difference between, having a 1 minute conversation, a 5 minute conversation really depends on your introduction. And so once the introduction, the door opens, you kind of got to do, and I don't even go straight into say, I'm looking to buy some property, right? I talk to him like a friend. Hey, Max, I was actually driving down Main Street the other day, just past weekend, and I seen a house on, 541 Main Street. Do you own that house? So now, why am I saying that? Like, the curiosity is like, yeah, I own that house, what's up? Right, I didn't tell him already that I want to buy it. I need him to admit that he actually owns this house. Okay? Well, a couple streets over, I just recently, I'm about to wrap up a flip, and I see this one. I didn't know if you're interested in selling it. You're probably not interested in selling this house, are you? That's the same question of asking them, do you want to sell? But in a more invasive way, right? But this just comes down to doing this over and over and over again to where you can just rapid fire respond. So it's going to take time. But the introduction in the beginning is the absolute most important thing you have to nail down. So just practice, role play with other people, and you'll get it. That's it? All right, guys. I'll see you guys later. Anything else? Yes.
Starting from nothing, like having nothing at all except for a backpack and clothes on your back, How would you say would be the best way to start building the life and being able to actually make something of yourself?
You have a car?
I have my Lamborghinis.
What year are they? What year is it?
2009.
Okay. Listen, you got to be willing to do what somebody else is not willing to do, right? And so the real reality is I'm nobody special, right? I just did what most people don't want to do, and I do it over and over again every single day. That's that's it. And right, and so once you become obsessed with something, you go find that. And so whatever it takes. So if you're serious, then be here Monday morning at 9 a.m. and we'll show you what to do.
I just moved down here from Indiana today. Like, I'm still moving to my girlfriend's house after this.
9 a.m. Monday morning.
Alright.
Like, I don't care what your story is. You get what I'm saying? And that's how life treats you.
Okay.
It doesn't care. Like, I don't care if you're homeless right now. Life doesn't owe you that. And so if you want to change your life, you be here at 9, and you probably should show up a little bit earlier on Monday morning. Right? I'm not going to pay you. You're going to pay yourself.
Right.
Is that a good answer?
That really is.
All right. I'll see you Monday morning.
Thank you.
Yes.
Piggyback off his question, how did you raise capital to get started?
I didn't have any money.
Where did you- Oh, okay.
I didn't have any money. I made $800,000 in my mom's house wholesaling real estate. I didn't need any money. Remember, the worst situation you can ever be in is having money and not knowing where to invest it, or not having a place to invest it. Right? Most people think the worst absolute place you could be in is not having any money. But if I told you that the best place you can actually be in is knowing how to find the deal, you'll be able to eat for the rest of your life.
The power of broke.
That's it.
The power of broke.
And so you want to raise the money to be a flipper. That's the only reason you want to buy a house, right? Because naturally, most of us think that's the way to be successful in real estate, is to flip homes. Right? It's not true.
No, it's multiple ways.
There's multiple ways, but the easiest way
It's wholesale.
is wholesaling. And then you raise enough capital, then you meet enough people, then you learn the business. And the key, I say this many times, I said this on a podcast when I was on Bigger Podcasts the other day. It doesn't matter if you're doing single family houses or you're buying high rises. If you can't identify a deal, you can't invest in the real estate. And so that's the main thing everybody needs to focus on. How do I learn how to identify a deal? Right? Most of us know, like, if they're paying too much for a gallon of milk, right? I'm guessing. I don't know, right? Most of us know that $9 for a gallon of milk is expensive, right?
I noticed some gas.
Right? That's expensive, right? Yeah. Most of us know $1.50 for a gallon of milk is probably pretty good, right? Go find the same milk for $1.50. Sell it to somebody else. For $5, that's gonna sell it for $9. That's really how simple wholesaling is. Right? So whether you gotta go to the farm and beg the dairy farmer every single day, or whatever the solution is. And then once you have enough capital, then you could go into, but you know what? Even if I had the money right now, I'd be honest, I don't even know if I like flipping. Do I like flipping it?
Yes.
A little bit.
Well, yeah. You're not
Here's the only deals I like flipping, right? The ones that I get to, I buy from, all right, I bought a house. When did I buy the house for $15,000?
a year,
I bought a house for 15 grand.
2 years ago. Yeah,
Was it 2 years ago?
in a year.
I'm getting old. I bought a house for $15,000. I'm gonna put 55 grand in that house and it's gonna be worth close to $200,000. Where in the world can you do that with money without risking your freedom? Right? And so the $15,000 came from wholesaling. The $55,000 came from wholesaling. So I'll have, what, $70,000, $75,000 a deal or something like that? That's worth $200,000. I can go to the bank, pull that money out, do it all over again. But if I didn't know how to find a deal, none of that would matter. And so flipping to me is like a byproduct of having too many deals. Would you say that's fair? Because you start to cherry pick, right? And then I wouldn't, if you have no experience flipping, I would partner with somebody else. You know, I would sacrifice a wholesaling fee to partner with somebody else and have sweat equity and find the deal so that you can tag along with them with the whole flip just to walk away with your wholesaling fee on the back end. Does that make sense? Like if you brought me a deal, say, Max, I want to learn how to flip. I'd say, cool, give me the deal. I'm not going to pay you no money. Hang out with Francis every day. Figure out how he flips the house. When we sell the house, I give you a wholesale fee. Right? And so I would do something like that versus just getting into flipping. Flipping is not the way. I know many flippers who were versed into wholesaling and decided to do that. Less headaches. All the way in the back.
My question is, so let's say you find $500 and you find a home that you think would be a good deal. But one of my concerns is like the repairs, like how do you figure out the repairs? And so if you were starting out, should you maybe hire an inspector to go and maybe an estimate? Because like I wouldn't kind of know like how much would it cost to fix the floor or whatnot. Or like what would you suggest for somebody who's starting out?
Yeah, so what she asks is if she's driving for dollars, she finds a house that's a good deal, how does she know what repairs cost, right? Most of us are not contractors. We don't know what a bathroom sink costs or a vanity costs or what it costs to replace a roof. That's a good question. If you were starting off and you didn't have any resources, I would try to get quotes. I would try to get quotes from about 3 or 4 different contractors or somebody you trust that may be giving you an honest opinion of what it costs. Since most of you are here, spend some time with Francis going to a house or something, or call Francis and have Francis go to the house and give you an idea of what it costs. We also do like a very quick and dirty square foot method. There is a light repair, medium repair, and full rehab. And I don't remember the numbers. I know it's like 16, what is it?
15, 25, 30.
15, 25, and 30, right? So a light rehab. And this is just going to give you a rough, because here's the real truth to most of that. You don't got to be dead spot on. It's really the due diligence of the person buying it from you. Right. If you know it's a good deal, it's a good deal. Right? If I find that gallon of milk for $1, it's up to you to figure out if it's expired or not. That's not my problem. Right? And so the idea is if you take $15 times the square foot of the house, that's what a light repair would cost. A medium repair you said was 25 square foot of the house multiplied by 25. That's going to give you a medium repair. Most of your houses are going to fall in that medium, right? And then if you have something that's on the other side, you're going to go to 30, but it could be 30 or more. But then when you start doing this enough, you'll start to be able to spot out things and be able to say this or that, or you know what I mean? Those other things like that. And so once you do those, you'll start to understand it and it'll become second nature to you. Does that help you?
Yes.
Cool. What else you got?
Back to your point of you're on the phone, you get the seller on the phone and you ask them how much do you think it's going to cost to repair your kitchen? Mm-hmm. They're going to give you the numbers.
Yeah, and they're probably going to give you what I call Google numbers, which are going to be higher than typically what, like Francis and I can flip a house for a fraction of what most people can do. And so do any other professional flippers. They can do it for a fraction. And the reason is because we have all the resources, we have the great contractors, and we do it so often that what may cost you 30 may cost me 18. Right? But if the seller's telling me 40, I'm gonna roll with their number. Why? Because it just makes more sense in my favor. Right? Because that's what the Google prices would be. Right? If you had a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet, and you had to replace the AC unit, right? You had to place, what's the Google price on that?
$12,000.
$11,000-$12,000. What do we get it for?
$5,200.
$5,200. So you see, it's like 50%. Right? You want to do a master bath, shower, vanity, Tile on the floor. Let's do tile. Let's do a tile. Let's do a tile tub. What does that cost from one of the Google people?
12,000.
What from the Google people?
Right.
About 12 grand
Yeah,
all day long. What does it cost us?
3,500.
You see, that's the difference in, and so that's why I say the price, the dead-on price, is really not that important. That's more for the buyer to find out. Now, don't go in a house and say every house costs. No, first of all, no house costs $5,000 to repair. Right? So don't use that number. Yeah.
If it's from 2002 up, like it might be.
Okay, so he makes a good point. So newer houses, with the way they've been constructed, take less to do, right? There's less plumbing mistakes, there's less electrical fixing. Most of the time, the top four are updated, right? The top four is your roof, your HVAC, your electrical, and your plumbing, right? Those are the big costs when you get to repair a house, right? We're getting to the weeds a little bit, but just understand that, you know, we can do something to teach you guys and help you how to understand that. What else we got?
What are some of your failures that you can elaborate on that would be beneficial for us to learn from?
In the beginning, not following up. Yeah, follow up is probably one of my most biggest failures ever, only because you can see them, right? And so you ever talk to some, well, most of you guys are new, but you get in this business, you're gonna talk to somebody and you're gonna have a good conversation with them. You're just gonna be a separation in price. You're just gonna be off a little bit and you're gonna move on. And then you're gonna just get an itch on the back of your neck and you're gonna go Google that address and put it in Zillow 6 months later. And then you're gonna see what it sold for. And you just know that you didn't work hard enough.
Right.
And you're like, I could have made money if I'd have paid $10,000 more. Right. And so when I did that, I actually started going through my CRM and I started putting every single address in there. And I'm like, all right, cool, there goes 20, 50, 100. Okay, cool. I just missed $250,000 in follow-ups. Right? And so follow-ups is probably the biggest mistake I've ever made. When I started in this business, I only used to do deals from unicorns. You guys know what a unicorn is? You make a phone call, you say you want to buy their house, they tell you a price, you agree on the price, you sign the contract the same day. When I first started, that was like my thing. And everybody else that gave me resistance, I pushed them to the side. Right? And so you can't do that anymore. You got to follow up. You couldn't do that back then. I could have made a lot more money, but you got to learn how to follow up. And you literally got to put in your calendar a schedule to follow up with that person because their situation changes, especially during what we have going on now. People's financial situations change very fast. You go from 2-income household to 1 income, you know? And so those things change very fast these days. So I think somebody had a question. Yes, sir.
When you get to the point where you're thinking about hiring a VA, when you hired your first VA, did you turn to like a vendor or something that pre-vetted those guys, or did you like fly to the Philippines yourself?
I wish I could have applied to this. I would have dope. Probably wouldn't be here now. But no, actually, when I started, there was no. And Leica just celebrated her 4th year with us, right? So Leica's been with us 4 years, and so no, there was really no services before that. You got to understand, this wholesaling world grew so fast with technology and with like other ancillary services. It grew so fast in the last 5 years. No joke. But the answer is no, I hired myself. And what I did was I used a website called onlinejob.ph, and it's onlinejobs.philippines is what it stands for. And I went on there and I just put out what I wanted. I asked friends, hey, you know, and I started writing down a description of what I needed the person to do. And then I had all these, I think it's like 50, 60 bucks a month. And then I had all these inquiries. And then I would have them, I would set up like a Google Voice number or something back then. And then I would say, to be eligible for this job, I need you to call this number and read this paragraph in the voicemail. Right? And if they sounded good, then they moved to the second round of me actually talking to them. And so, but now these days, they have services where you can vet somebody and hire somebody. And you can use that. I think it's a resourceful thing to use. I'm more of a hands-on type of person where I want to kind of mold it all the way from the beginning. It is more time-consuming. but you're gonna get exactly what you want. Yes, sir.
Would you consider, like, cause in my inbox, my Facebook DM, I got this person that just sent me a whole bunch of like audio records. I mean, they sound like Americans.
Yeah.
I'm like, but they're telling me they can do it all, like go to Liz.
Yeah.
But to me, it sounds too good to be true.
Then it is.
Skeptical of that?
Yeah, I would. Me personally. Because that's just somebody that is gonna charge you $5-6 an hour, and they're paying somebody $2 to $3 an hour. If you can afford $5 or $6 an hour, which is great money in the Philippines, then you pay that directly to the person that's actually gonna be there, and they're probably gonna do a better job for you. Right? And so somebody's just wholesaling you a person to do your phone calls.
We had a VA sending my business partner to open houses.
Hold on, say it again?
We had hired a VA.
Mm-hmm.
She was very good. She could speak very clearly. Everything was good. But she was sending my business partner, because she does all the front of house work.
Okay.
She was sending my business partner to open houses and deals that were on the MLS.
That's not what you want to do, right? And so another thing about hiring a VA is you need to be documenting the processes that you have that you want to replace yourself with
Exactly.
right now, right? So you can use something like Tranual, which records your screen, and you can make videos, and it's kind of like a, you can set it up as like video 1, video 2, like steps, and you can add quizzes to the end. And then when you want to hire somebody to do your data work, right? You've went through and you record 5 videos on exactly how you do it on your county website or whatever, and that's their training, right? And so if you want to hire somebody for cold calling, you need to be recording your cold calls. You need to then dissect your own cold calls and then make them understand why you said what you said when you said it, right? And so it's kind of a process, right? Like just kind of anything. Like if you go work at McDonald's, somebody that wrote the manual to teach you already has done it to be able to write the manual to teach you how to, do that particular job at that restaurant. Yes.
Obviously, we're in a seller's market. Have you seen like the economy and or COVID kind of change wholesaling in a way? Like where maybe it takes more leads to get filled, or is it the reverse, like from your end?
So that's a good question. He says it's a seller's market, which it is, and real estate is reciprocal, means that it goes through certain cycles. And the question was, have we seen that it takes more deals or more marketing or more leads to a deal? And the short answer, yes. It does take more leads, but in what we're in is a unique situation, has also created more opportunity. And right, so if you're still doing the same old things that we were talking about doing 3 years ago, that everybody else is doing, then you're probably gonna get the same results everybody else is getting. And so you gotta learn how to really become obsessed and analyze what's going on in today's market, and just really put yourself in other person's shoes and understand what real world is giving us and how people are feeling during that real world situation, right? We had a foreclosure moratorium that was in place. We had an eviction moratorium that was in place. And so you kind of look at those and you reverse engineer that problem and say, what situations, right? Because every business just solves problems, right? I don't care what it is. McDonald's solves your problem of wanting to have a quick meal very fast to fill your stomach, right? And so every single business has to solve a problem. And so if there's a pandemic, if there's something going on, there's more problems. You just got to be mindful and think of what actually problem is this causing besides, us having to wear masks. What else is happening? And so when you start to think like that, if there's an eviction moratorium, which means you can't do evictions for the last 2 years, maybe people haven't paid rent in the last 2 years, and maybe a brand new landlord or old landlord may not want to be a landlord anymore. That's one scenario. Maybe people haven't paid their mortgage over the last 2 years and they're facing foreclosure and finally having to really face foreclosure. I don't know. There's just so many scenarios that come out of everyday situations that you kind of got to reverse engineer to understand where can I jump in and fix the problem. And if you can fix one of those situations, then you can get paid. If you keep doing it over and over again, then you'll keep getting paid. Yes?
So how big of a list should we be aiming for?
You know, I don't think there's a such thing as a big of a list, right? How many people you have working in your company?
Just myself.
Got it. You just need one right phone call, right? And so that's a common question. Like people ask, how big of a list do I need? The reality is you don't need a list. You need to get in your car, you need to drive around, and you need to find one person that's willing to sell their property, right? And so I think lists are for companies that are bigger, people that have larger operations, and they need to burn through a lot more data, right? I mean, we go through how much data in a week or something? Yeah, we're reaching out to 30,000 people in a week. But you don't need to do that. Because in order to stay afloat, I need 5 deals a week. You need 1 a month, right? Because an extra $10,000 probably every single month will change a lot of lives, right? I'm sure you've seen the video. 19% of Americans, I don't care what age you are, only make over 6 figures or more. 19%. So if you can get $10,000 a month, it's 120 grand. You're already moving up in the ladder. You just need 1 deal. And so I don't believe that you need this massive list because that's not how I started. I started by driving for dollars. And then when I got my first deal, I sat down and I reverse engineered my deal. I said, what problems did Amy have besides the one that I visually see? Okay, Amy inherited this property. Amy was behind on taxes. The house was vacant. And so I started to take those 3 things and I said, let me dive deep into those 3 situations and see if I can find more Amy's. And guess what? There was more Amy's, right? There was $800,000 worth of Amy's. And so that's what you got to understand is that you don't need this big list to go calling. You're just wasting money, you're wasting time, and you're wasting your resources. The reality is you need to find 1 good conversation, 1 good person that has a problem, and solve 1 good problem. Once a month. Yes, sir.
If you do have data, how many times do you contact the prospect before you, I guess, toss it out?
Have you made contact with them?
Some of them, not all. But the ones that I have made contact with and they say no. Like, how many times do you hit them up and over how long? Like, do you hit them up 3 months from now, 6 months from now?
So your question is, how often do you contact somebody before you consider the lead dead, the prospect dead? It depends, right? What kind of no are you getting? A no or like hell no or like?
It's like a hesitation, but there's like, no, not right now, or no.
Cool.
It's not taking me off your list, it's just.
Until they say that, I'm making that phone call.
Okay.
Right? You just want to respect somebody's privacy. You want to respect their wishes. If they say take me off the list, take them off the list. If they say not right now, then I'm going to say, okay, you're going to go into, and you're going to have to gauge that in your conversation. I call that the lead conveyor belt, right? And so as that person says, oh, you know, I'm not really thinking about it right now, put that person in a 3-month bucket. Because here's what's going to happen. In the reality of what this business is these days, you're going to make that phone call, right? And the reality is you're going to forget to follow up. You made the initial phone call, right? Francis is going to call next. He's going to forget to follow up. I think they say 84% of salespeople don't follow up. Does that sound about right, Ish? 84% of salespeople, right? And so Tina's going to call. All within a matter of maybe a month. And she's going to forget to call. She's going to forget to follow up. No, Tina will follow up. Bad example. But somebody else will call. And they'll forget. And I'm going to be the 4th call. And I'm going to reap the benefits of every single one of you calling that didn't follow up. Because now that I called, they're ready. Life changed, situation changed. And that's how you got to look at every single lead. Because somebody's going to call that same person you called. Somebody's going to, and then you also got to answer your question, you got to try to change your method of contact. Right? You can call me 1,000,000 times on my phone. If you're not saved in my phone, you will not get an answer. Matter of fact, half the time if you save in my phone, you're still not going to get an answer. I'm just so busy. Right? And so if you text me, 50-50 chance, I got so many red bubbles on my phone, it's crazy. Right? So you got to find out where the person is, where it wants to be communicated in. Right? But always remember every single deal will end in a phone call. Every single one.
Well, that was my question. I was wanting to say, if you're just getting started, would you suggest texting or cold calling?
From a list,
Yeah. Or you come driving.
if you're driving, okay. Either or. I like to initially call somebody first because it's just most of us will respond to a phone call in some type of way. If that doesn't work, then move over to text that same number a couple days later. Right? And so there's no solid answer where to start. You can start anywhere, to be honest with you. But I think the most effective way is you find something that you're driving, you see that it's hot, it's physically hot. You're looking at it like, this is perfect. I need to get this person on the phone. Right? And so you make that phone call. If they don't answer, do what I call like a cliffhanger voice message. You guys know what a cliffhanger voice message is? Right? It's like, hey, this is Max. I was calling you about, click, hang up. All right, curiosity always kills a cat. They're gonna call you back.
But if you're not comfortable cold calling.
You gotta get there. I mean, it's normal. Like, I don't think I was probably comfortable speaking in front of people. It just took more time, but you're gonna have to develop it. Like, you're not uncomfortable speaking to me right now. So why would you feel uncomfortable calling somebody you have no idea who it is, that you can't even see? Right? So there's no, you're just afraid of the no.
Not so much, that's why maybe I may not know the right questions to ask.
Yeah.
Or,
Are you interested in selling your house? Not that direct, but in some way, shape, or form. Like we talked about, get the intro down. It's the first thing, get the intro. Make 100 calls. Mess up 100 times with that intro until you get it down. Once you get your intro down, you'll start to see the calls get a little bit smoother because then it's gonna be regular human at that point. I just gotta get you to wanna have a conversation with me or be open to it. Just takes time. Role playing. Stacy, was it easy in the beginning?
No, you have to practice. You just have to. And what was it? You just get over the fear and make the damn call. This is one of the things we learned. You just keep doing it over and over, and it's just practice.
Just make the damn call. Here, that's what I tell them, make the damn call. Yes.
I'm fearful of getting sued, which I'm sure everybody is.
I wasn't fearful of getting sued because I didn't have it. So if you sued me, you wasn't gonna get anything. Like, what were you gonna get? But you wanted my 94 Volkswagen? You can have it. The starter don't work. Good luck.
I got a little something.
Yeah, so I get it. I'm just saying me when you said everybody. I didn't have anything.
So as far as the bandit signs, and calling people who may be on the do not call list.
Okay.
How do you, have you ever been fined or had any issues with either one of those?
Millions of phone calls. Tens of thousands of bandit signs. Haven't had it. Am I saying it won't happen? It can happen? Of course. Probably. But to mitigate your risk a little bit, like I know the company I own, REI Skip, that has Skip Trade, it's gonna tell you whether that person is a known litigator or on the do not call list on the column. And if you don't wanna call that person, take them off the list. Me personally, Now I'm not saying you, I'm not an attorney, I do not give legal advice. I'm just saying me, we've never even had it's never even been a thing. I think that's more common in your other type of states, right? Like your Californias, people that are just miserable with their lives, right? North Carolina, we cuss you out, right? We get a good cussing out and that's about it.
Is it better to market in your entity? Because I just started, an entity for wholesaling or, buying property.
What type of marketing?
I guess online or signs as well.
Yeah, I definitely don't put my company name on no signs.
Right. Okay.
You asking to get called.
Is it just the name?
Yeah. It's a number that's we use. So if you have REI Rail, you can use one of those numbers, which are going to give you a bunch of numbers. And you're just going to put that number on the bandit sign. It's not skip traceable. You have a generic type of voicemail.
With someone else's
And for years, I think my bandit sign says either I buy houses or Alex buys houses. You've probably seen those around there.
Okay, because I have Google Voice and I have Riser as well, so
Yeah.
both of those are traceable, do you know?
So Google, I started with Google Voice back in the days. I know that if you, it's illegal to use Google, not illegal. It's against their company policy to use Google Voice for marketing. And you can wake up one day and no longer have that number, which would be devastating to your business. If you get Call Rail, or if you get REI Rail is like a suite of products, right? If you want to get Call Rail, I think it's like $30 a month. REI Rail is probably around the same, but you're gonna get numbers that are never gonna disappear, and they're made for marketing.
I have limited, I guess, understanding of how the bandit sign situation works.
Mhm.
I'm thinking like, I know you can use a phone number.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to create brand awareness and you have like a generic marketing name that's independent of like the LLC, would you advise putting that like, I guess, web address at the bottom of the bandit sign?
I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't do it either.
I mean, because frankly, bandit signs are against city code ordinance. And you're basically putting your picture on there. Say, I did this. The only people that can put up bandit signs are politicians. Believe that or not, right? Ooh, they get free passes. You know, to be honest with you, nothing's really changed as far as the type of marketing we do. Like, humans are still humans. We haven't changed anything. There's been nothing groundbreaking in wholesaling in the 5-6 years I've been in it. It's just reverse engineering the problem that the world gives us to be able to go out and find problems to solve. Listen, you're gonna have a couple types of marketing. You're gonna have outbound marketing, which are your cold calling, your texting, postcards. I would call that inbound, because anything that creates an action that have somebody call me, I call that like inbound marketing. So like pay-per-click, mail, Facebook ads, those things create calls coming in. And so you kind of want to, there's different types of marketing. None of it's changed since the pandemic. Nothing's really changed as far as, now who we may go after a little bit more matters, but that's just because situations. Like, I'm looking for tired landlords, like straight up. Like who is scared of what's happening and who just wants out. If you find somebody that has 20 houses, send it to me, I'll buy it. I try not to cherry pick out.
I actually had that happen to me today. A carpenter, good friend of mine now, and he's working for this guy, and today he said he got a couple of duplexes, I don't like 30 doors, right, but he got a couple of duplexes that he wanted to get off his hand. So I told him, hey, the folks been calling me back today, but now I'm gonna turn to tomorrow and give me the information. That's something you'd be interested in, with that 30% equity? If you don't get that right number?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
The more the better when it comes to like single family. Like, if I like when somebody has like 25, 50 properties and they want to sell the whole thing.
Portfolio.
Yeah, then I just underwrite the whole deal.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
When it comes to acquiring like probates, especially like going down to the courthouse and sourcing those records, when they come in, that's like a fresh probate, so they don't own it yet. What's like the methodology, I guess, behind getting a probate, or how does that work?
They're gonna own it very soon.
Okay.
So it's best to be top of mind when it happens.
Okay, got you. So it's more like follow up, like getting in front of their face and then just follow
Yeah,
up with them.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, follow up, get in front of them. That process takes 90 days. You don't have to wait till the probate's done to get it under contract. Nope.
So are you trying to get under contract with if it's just one person that's listed there, that's the person you're trying to get under contract with? If it's like heirs, are you trying to get all of them to sign a contract?
You gotta understand the situation. Most of the time, once the probate is set and the people who are on there, you're gonna have an administrator. Mm-hmm. Everybody else that may inherit, you're just gonna say the estate of blank and get the signatures of whoever you need. If there's gonna be turmoil between the family, obviously it's gonna be rocky, but most of the time, probates are pretty smooth. And if somebody told me today, hey, I want to sell my home in July of 2022, and they're willing to put it under contract with me today, absolutely. I don't care when it's gonna close.
So what's your intro conversation with them like? Because they just had somebody pass away. Like, I don't want to be disrespectful, I guess.
I don't change my conversation, right? Because most of the time I'm not telling you, hey, I found your name at the probate list. I'm randomly calling you, right? I'm not revealing my card to you. Hey, I see you on the foreclosure list. Hey, I see you haven't paid your taxes. No, it's a random phone call at a time that they have a problem, right? If they say, oh, somebody passed away, oh, sorry to hear that. Keep it moving. Because what I've learned is, yes, people pass away, absolutely. And there's a business side of death. It's just it. And most of the time, getting rid of that property is important for that person to move on. Yes, sir.
How long into wholesaling did you start to like keep a few properties, cash out, refi? Like, I know you stacked a bunch of bread first, but like, when did you start to look at it as like a long-term wealth strategy?
So my second biggest mistake ever was not buying property as soon as I could, right? I wish I would have done that as soon as I possibly could, buy more rentals. You know, I don't have any loans, so I don't do cash. I don't like the Bird method. I don't like it. I think it's stupid. It's my opinion. I don't have any loans, so everything that I own is, you know. And so I wish I'd have done it sooner. Actually, my buddy Nas encouraged me because I visited him in Charlotte and got to see his rental property years ago. And it was like, okay, I need to stop playing around. Let me buy some things. And so, yeah, that's one of the things. I wish I'd have bought them sooner. I wish I would have passed up. Like, remember I called you the other day? What's the one over by the RJR factory in Wake Forest? Remember the condominium on the upstairs?
Oh, yeah.
We had that house for $25,000, right?
It was, yeah.
20 or 25, I can't remember, something like that.
It was
25,000. I had that house. Wasn't even that much work.
right. It was just carpet and
It's for sale right now for 125. Should have bought that. I had 25 grand back then. Right? You know, so they're just looking at the deals. Remember I told you I go back and look at old deals to keep myself sharp? That's one of them. I would have had 100 grand in equity. Damn.
Why don't you like Bird?
Huh?
Why don't you like the Bird method?
It's a long conversation.
Okay.
I think people teach it because it sounds cool,
Yeah.
but you become over leveraged and you're gonna end up in 2008 again, right? You got people saying, hey, go buy this house, refi at 85, 90%, get as much money as the bank can give you. Next thing you do, you're gonna be upside down. I think it's a lazy way of investing, right? I'm telling you, I'm personally buying properties at 50% or below of their value to keep in my portfolio. And if I hustle hard enough, I have my own money to keep those. Like my brother said, I bought that house 2 years ago. We just started the rehab, 2 months ago? And so I don't mind buying it and sitting on it and waiting, because it's like, if I put $15,000 in the bank, it's not gonna turn into $200,000 in 2 years. But if I do it in a house, it will. You know, so, you know, the Bird method, I think a lot of people are teaching it now. And I think that it's gonna cause a lot of people that are uneducated in real estate, because the bank's gonna give you the money. What happens is, remember the unsophisticated investor not the unsophisticated, the casual investor I told you about? That's why I love selling deals to you. You wanna know why? They're stupid. They're gonna pay more for it. Because they listen to somebody on Bigger Pockets saying that this is the best strategy ever. And I like Bigger Pockets, not the Bigger Pockets itself, but like somebody on there saying this is the best strategy. And so they're gonna go buy a wholesale deal from me, 25% more than they should, right? They're gonna go in there, they're gonna get screwed trying to rehab it. Then they're gonna go to the bank, the bank's gonna give them 95%, 90%, it just depends on how good they know their local bank. And then they're gonna be essentially cash flowing $20 a month. I am not the custodian of the bank's property. I don't like to do that, right? And so Now you see, you set me down a rant. I didn't want to talk about this. Right? So when I see somebody and they're like, yeah, I own $19 million in property. No, you don't. You own 20% of that. Every month, you're giving the money to the bank. May sound cool to say online, but nowhere else in business do we talk about gross. Right? We all talk about net. Right? So tell me what you cash flow every month on those $19 million worth of properties. $4,500. You kidding me? Right? I'd rather go own 2 properties free and clear that fat cash will be the same way. Now, over time, you're going to get buy down, you're going to get all that, but the real estate is so reciprocal. Why put yourself in an over-leveraged situation at any point in time? If you learn how to find a deal, you never have to put yourself in an over-leveraged situation. Right? So this house that I have, right, the $15,000 house that I'm going to have like 75 grand in that's going to be worth 200,000. You know what they would tell me to go do? Pull out $185,000. Why? What I'll do is I'll build my portfolio, right? Let's say it's worth $8 million. I own it free and clear. I probably only paid $4 million for it. But when the S really hits the fan, I'll walk to the bank and I'll say, hey, give me 70% of that portfolio now. They'll give me the $6 million in cash. It doesn't count as income because it's a loan. That's right. So I got $6 million I paid no taxes on. And as the real estate market goes down, guess what I do? I take that $6 million and I buy $12 million more worth of property. But if you're over leveraged, you can't do it. Thanks for coming. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, with it being a seller's market.
For who?
Okay, I'm just saying, I heard someone say.
It is a seller's market, yes, but not for us.
Okay. Piggybacking off what you said, I caught a couple deals on some property.
Okay.
Okay, being a seller's market, would you hold those for the, I would like to play the long game, you know, residuals for years.
Yeah.
But with it being a market that I can just put my price on anything, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm kind of like in dilemma now, like, should I sell or just hold for the long game?
So you saying you have some properties now?
Yeah, and I caught, I caught steals.
You know, I battle with that every day. Do I sell this property that I got for nothing?
Cause I never get that deal again.
Or will you?
Right.
Right? And so the principle is buy low, sell high.
Right.
What is it today?
High.
Right? And then we get this emotional attachment to it. And so there's some that I'm like, I want to sell this. I want to buy a Lamborghini. Right? But then it's like, man, I don't need to sell this house. I got this house at a steal. But I know how to get a house at a steal no matter what market it's in. So then,
see, that's what I was saying. Like, okay, it's a seller's market. If I sell high right now, am I going to have to go buy high?
No, you wait.
I'm gonna have to go wait it out and go back on the grind again.
You wait it out. Me personally, or you go out and find the strategies how to find the same deals in this market. You know what I mean? But that's kind of like a personal question. Like, it just depends on where you're at. Right. It is. I battle with that all the time. I got a couple houses right now. I'm thinking like, man, I can make $200,000 off this house. Should I sell it?
But then you think about the moratoriums and all that, you know, as far as like renting and you know what I'm saying?
And I'm like, but with $200,000, if I go buy these deals right, I could pick up 4 more properties.
Right.
And so it's just like, yeah, it's a battle. I wish I had a good answer. When you find it, call me.
So Max, piggyback on what you said, if he bought low and he sell high, then how do he get over the capital tax part?
Yeah, you're gonna pay capital gains unless you do a 1031, and then if you're doing single families, it's, you know, I don't even know how many 1031s you got. Yo, taxes is just a part of this game. It just sucks, but yeah, you know, it's a part of it. Now, what you could do is if you're in the good sense of refining, you can refi them out and go find more while the refi prices are high, while the valuation's high, but be smart with the money. But I'm just the type of person, I don't like the bank.
Right, because I'm in that situation, like I don't owe anybody.
Yeah, it's a good situation to be in, right?
My dilemma is just like, should I sell high and then, you know, go back again and,
Yeah.
or just stay where I'm at, just, you know, but I never want to stay where I'm at.
Correct.
But, you know, it's just, you know, like you say, it's just, I'm wrestling with it.
Well, you, sir, you have a good problem, right?
I mean, cause, you know, and also I had another question for you.
Mhm.
As far as buying land, cause, you know, like I said, I bought 3 or 4 lots, you know. How do you feel about that, investing in that?
I got quite a few. Just sit and wait. I got some land on 14th Street right now. I can't wait till they redevelop the.
I got some on 23rd.
You see what I'm saying? I'm just waiting, right? You know, so I'm just waiting. You know, eventually it's going to become something. So those I just, you know, y'all get them so cheap, you just wait.
All right, okay. Cause I was actually considering, well, I'm actually going to get my contractor's license.
Yeah.
Cause, you know, like you said, a gallon of milk, I figure if I can find the land cheap, I can build my own house.
There you go. That's it. Right time. Yes.
Are you doing any development?
Yeah, I'm doing some things with some guys. You may have seen me post something with these guys called the Elite X.
Yeah.
And so I'm working on some cool development deals in Winston-Salem right now, some big ones. Hopefully after November 9th, I get to announce them.
Mixed use, residential, commercial?
There's one full residential project and one that's mixed use.
Are you guys looking for entitled land?
I know what to do with it, right? Entitlements, you know, yes, the answer is yes.
Okay.
You made the entitlements?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We do entitlements too. Like we're in the country club area, those acres of land, gonna entitle it for 3 or 4 houses. I'm not gonna build them right now, I'm gonna let somebody else build them. Yes, sir.
What's an entitlement?
Good question. So entitlement is when you take a piece of land and you do the upfront hard work that it takes to get approved, right? And so I'll give you an example. There was a guy I read in the journal, the business journal, had 47 acres in Kernersville, contracted it for 2.1 million, got the entitlements on the property. So he went out and found the highest, best use for that property. It was 270 something townhomes, got it drawn up, got it approved by the city from March to September, then sold it to D.R. Horton for 4.7 million or something like that. He made $2 million in 6 months. He didn't cut a tree. He didn't probably even purchase the property.
Is that the idea?
Yeah, that's it. So those are what you call land entitlements. It ain't nothing but high scale wholesaling.
That's it.
Cool, what time is it? 8 o'clock. We done? We're supposed to be done around 8 o'clock? I can't remember the times. 8:30. 8:30? Yeah. Okay. No, I'm good. My dog's probably looking at me like, what's going on? I'm hungry. Any more questions? Yes.
The entitled land, how would you do you have to own the land or what?
No.
So if you didn't own the land, what would be the process of getting it entitled?
Have it on the contract
For a long time.
for a long time. And so with that, you're gonna have to put up what they call some due diligence money. Means that whether you buy it or not, that person walks away with that bread. It could be 10, 20, 30, $40,000, whatever it is, right? But if you haven't done wholesaling, I'm not discouraging you to get into land entitlements, but learn some real estate first, do like just some regular residential, and you'll learn very quickly what it took me 4.5 years to learn what entitlements were. Yes, sir.
Do you ever do like subject to?
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
I do. Yeah, I do. I don't usually talk about it because it's a very
I get
I talk about it, but I don't usually talk about it because it's a very complex way of doing real estate. And if you don't have money, you can be up street very fast. And so let me tell you, here's the bad side of subject 2. At any moment, you gotta be willing and ready to pay that mortgage off. And if you don't have it, don't do it. Because the Attorney General will be up your behind.
They'll never tell you about it.
Yeah, it's so complex. You gotta find the right attorney that's been doing it for a long time to close the deals. If not, like, it's a lot. It's a good way of investing, but if you learn wholesaling, it's just another step into it.
So if the bank calls a note for that, you're on the hook for it?
Yeah, so you gotta be ready to pay it real quick. It's called a due on sale clause. Every single mortgage has it. Cool. Any more questions? I'm here for y'all, so just say it again.
What's the current buy formula that's being used right now? It's still.
It's not 30%. 30% be great. I always shoot for 30%. Minus repairs, minus your fee. I say it's between, somewhere between 30 and 20% to be safe. 20%, it better be in a hot area. But we're still finding good deals. The ARVs have moved up. And so it's kind of made it a little bit easier to do some things, right? I mean, even on some of our flip projects that take 3 months, we're getting like a 10, 15% jump in ARV from when we started to when it sells.
If I don't have the funds to do a double closing, if I didn't want to do an assignment, do y'all close in escrow?
Why would you not want to do an assignment?
Well, no, I would want to do an
Yeah.
assignment. But
Don't worry about it. I've never had to do a
if it's
double
not
close.
assignable or something like that.
If it's not assignable, got it. Because the seller says, don't assign my deal?
Well, I thought some contracts are not assignable or some.
All contracts are assignable unless it says they're not.
Okay.
It really doesn't even have to have the verbiage that says and or assigns. It just, if it says non-assignable, then you can't assign it. But we have contracts you can use. Yeah.
So what's our process for using it in-house law team?
Call Tammy. If you want Tammy to close the deal, she'll close it for you, right? I don't know if she's smiling or mean. Trying to see if the cheekbones go up. But Tammy at ventureatlas.com.
Max, can you get into syndication?
No. I don't. No. I just hate owning a small piece of something. And it's not appealing to me.
Not even for tax purposes, you don't think that if it was that situation, would they help your tax situation?
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't.
Because you only get to write off the percentage you own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Me personally. Other people will say different. You can do so many different things in real estate. I just don't really. I looked into it heavy. I bought trainings on it. I just hate doing all the legwork to make somebody else real rich.
Yeah, I followed you for a long time. I didn't really hear you talk about that. That's why I was just wondering. But appreciate everything you give back to us, man.
Absolutely.
You haven't forgotten us, man. So appreciate
No, I just was waiting to have a good time so we could be here somewhat kind of safe.
Nah, and I'm just saying, like, overall, you giving back.
Oh yeah, thank you,
Value,
man.
man. Appreciate that, man.
It comes back 10x. How about that?
Right.
So I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate, what's cool about real estate and that